The room was dark. There were only the faintest glimmers of light creeping in from the cracks along the door's edges. The room was disorienting. Each wall had the outline of a door. Even the floor and the ceiling had them, with light illuminating the gaps around the doors. A child sat in the middle of one of the door's outlines. That must have been the ground. The child was playing with something in front of her. Her head was bowed towards the floor as if she was concentrating intently. The child was small, maybe only 2 or 3 years old. However, looking into her eyes, there was an agelessness set into their golden depths. It was impossible to tell what she was playing with, if playing was what she was doing. The object had no discernible edges from the darkness in the room. The only reason an edge was visible was because her fingers disappeared around the object's edge. Nevertheless, her golden eyes must have been able to see more to the strange artifact in her hands, because she kept touching different parts of it, manipulating it. As if the correct combination to open a lock was entered, a seam of white light appeared along the edge of the object, revealing it to be disc-shaped. The light shone upon the child, and as it did, her skin began to ripple and crack. Flakes began to peel away, revealing a seething mass of darkness below. Finally, the last bits of flesh fell away, revealing a stooped beast with massive wings arcing off its back. Its feet and hands ended with long, curving talons. Its massive head was not unlike the shape of a bear's, except that it had no muzzle. 2 pairs of tusks emerged from both sides of its gaping maw. The light from the disc winked out. Standing, the beast stretched upwards, spreading its wings and stretching its tail out for balance. Its tail ended with 2 scythe-like spikes that reflected the light emanating from the cracks around the door. The fact that it was darker than the room made its outline visible against the room's darkness. The once spacious room seemed tiny and cramped. In its left hand, the beast clutched the disc and held it up to look at with its gleaming golden eyes. The beast grunted, a sound like stone grating across stone, as it slowly inspected the disc's surface, which was covered with arcane markings. The beast pushed against the center of the disc, and with a small pop, it separated into 2 pieces. The beast seemed to chuckle as it slid the larger outer section over one of the tusks protruding from its mouth. The beast clenched the inner piece in its fist. Stepping back so it was no longer standing on the door, the beast raised both of its fists above its head, muscle flexing underneath its black skin, and brought them down on the door in one double-headed strike. The door shuddered, groaning and cracking under the force. It struck the door a second time, splintering and shattering it. Light flooded into the room. Without hesitation, the beast jumped through the now open portal. It landed on a solid brick floor, causing it to rumble like an earthquake. It was in a second chamber. Bookshelves lined the walls, and in one corner was a desk strewn with tomes and rolls of parchment. On the opposite wall was a fireplace with a raging fire snapping and cracking as it consumed the wood it fed off of. Straight in front of the beast was another door. The door opened, and a wizened old woman came through. "You can't be free!" she gasped, seeing the beast standing in front of her. The beast chuckled. "Did you think your enchantments could hold me forever, enchantress?" Her blue eyes became milky white, and her white hair began to move as if a breeze was blowing in the room. She lifted her hands, white light enveloping them. "Then I will put you back," she said determinedly, clenching her hands into fists. Light flashed around the beast's wrists and ankles, coalescing into manacles. Talon-like blades pointed outwards along the rim of each manacle. The blades snapped inwards, biting into the beast's flesh, causing it to grunt in pain. Shockingly red blood oozed out of the wounds, contrasting sharply with the blackness of the creature's skin. As the blood ran along the manacles, it began to form into chains linking the manacles together. The beast staggered forward and fell to its knees as if pulled down by an invisible force. "You think too much of yourself, Devourer," said the enchantress as she crossed the room to stand in front of the beast. She reached out and lifted the disc off of its tusk. "You will not escape our prison." The Devourer snarled and snapped its jaw at her hand. She lifted her still glowing hand as if she was going to backhand the monster, though she did not strike it. Nonetheless, its head still snapped backwards, struck by an invisible force. "You cannot hurt me, monster. I will remake the seal and put you back where you belong." She turned away from the beast and walked towards her desk, inspecting the disc in her hands. An ear-splitting crack sounded, and the enchantress gasped in surprise as she was struck from behind. The beast's claw was impaling her. It chuckled amidst the sound of metal hitting the ground as the now shattered manacles fell away. It held her up to its face. "It seems you are the one who thinks too much of your powers. You grow old, you weaken. But take solace. You are the first I am to escape. By the time I have broken the remaining seals, you should be reborn in order to see this world burn." It licked her cheek with its rough, scaly tongue. The enchantress struggled to speak. "You'll never be free." Energy erupted around her body, and in a flash of light she disappeared. The Devourer chuckled and licked the blood off of its claws. It leapt upwards and pulled itself back through the portal it had entered the room through. It knuckle-walked across the room, heading towards another door. It reached the point where floor met wall, and stepped from one surface to the other as if they were both the same surface. The beast walked over to the door centered in the middle and picked up an object that's edges were indiscernible from the surrounding gloom, much like the first. The beast began studying the object, feeling around its edges. Its golden eyes focused on it as it attempted to find a way to break the seal. Its movements began to slow and its body stiffen as the seal's magic reacted, working to contain the creature. In moments it was motionless, its body turned to stone. The remnants of the Devourer's last words echoed in the sudden silence. "I will be free."